Hello Mila, hello Jack. Hello everybody else who's watching. Welcome to Storytime with Grandad. Today's book is from Mog the Cat, and it is Mog and the Granny. One day, Mog was waiting for Debbie to come home from school. Mog always knew when Debbie was coming. She didn't know how she knew, she just knew. Suddenly a picture would come into her head of Debbie coming down the road. Then she would go and meet her. Debbie said, "School's all finished for the summer, Mog. Isn't it exciting?" Mog said nothing. She didn't like things to be exciting. She liked things to be the same. Inside the house, everything was exciting too. Mrs. Thomas was busy packing. Mr. Thomas was looking for something important. Nicky was dancing and singing a song he'd made up. "We're going to America, where the skyscrapers are. We're not going by train, but on an aeroplane. We'll see all the sights, and it will be very surprising, because they have their days when we have our nights." Debbie said, "You can't come, Mog, but you're going to a nice granny's house. She'll look after you until we come back." Next day, Mog went to the granny's house. The granny was old, with very thin legs. First, Mog thought she had 3 legs. Then she saw that one of them was a stick. Debbie said, "Goodbye, dear Mog." The granny said, "I'll look after Mog, and she'll have my Tibbles for company." Mog thought, Tibbles? Nobody told me there would be another cat. At least he sounds quite small. Tibbles had been small to start with, but then he had grown. "Here's a little friend for you," said the granny. Tibbles liked surprising people, and he liked Mog's basket. The granny said, "Don't be silly, Tibbles. Let Mog have her basket, and you can sleep on my bed." Mog sat in her basket, but she couldn't sleep. She thought of her house. She thought of Debbie. Suddenly a picture of Debbie came into her head. Debbie was in a high place, and there were even higher places all around. It was all too high. Mog didn't think Debbie should be there. "Whatever's the matter, Mog?" said the granny. "You better come and snuggle up with us." A few days later, the postman brought a card. "It's from Debbie," said the granny. "She's been to the top of a skyscraper." Mog thought the card smelled of Debbie. Tibbles didn't have a card. He had tea in a saucer instead. He was very fond of tea. Tibbles had an open window instead of a cat flap. He had a yard to play in. Sometimes they chased each other. Sometimes they liked each other. And sometimes they didn't. The granny gave them nice food to eat. She went to the shops to buy it. She always gave them the same, but they always thought the other ones was nicer. The first time Granny went shopping, Mog had a big surprise. The granny no longer had a stick. She had wheels instead. She gave Tibbles a ride. "What about you, Mog?" said the granny. But Mog thought the wheels were too surprising. One day the granny put out her best teacups. She said, "We're going to have a party." It was very hot, so they had a party in the yard. A lot of other grannies came. They were surprised to see Mog. The granny told them about Mog's people. She said they've been all over America, and now they're ending up at a special Native American show. The grannies stayed a long time. Mog got very tired. She thought of Debbie and wondered what Native Americans were. Suddenly a picture of Debbie came into her head. Debbie was smiling at a big bird. Mog knew it was a bird because it had feathers, but it had a face like a person. It was a person bird, and there were more person birds nearby. Why was Debbie smiling? Those big person birds might fly away with her and hurt her. She wanted to save Debbie. She did a big jump. Dibbles liked tea inside him, not outside. "Oh dear," said the granny. "Oh dear," said all the other grannies, "and your best cup too." Then they went home. That night Mog did not sleep in the granny's bed. She was too sad. She was still sad in the morning. She thought of Tibbles and the granny being upset. She thought of Debbie and the person birds. Suddenly a picture of Debbie came into her head. The person birds had not hurt her at all. Instead, they'd given her some of their feathers and a baby person bird as a present. She was smiling and excited. And she was coming home. Mog thought, "I must be there to meet her." She ran out of the yard and across a road and down another road and up a tree. After a time, the dog went home. Mog wanted to go home too, but she couldn't get down the tree. She tried this way and that way, but she was stuck, and it was getting late, and Debbie would be coming home. Mog thought, "There's nobody to help me." But there was somebody. "Quick, Mog, jump," said the granny, and Mog jumped. "We'll have to get a move on," said the granny. "We haven't much time," said the granny. "I think we can just make it," said the granny. And they did. When Debbie got home, Mog was there to meet her. "We've never had such excitement," said the granny. "Mog will have to come and stay with Tibbles again." Mog said nothing. She didn't like things to be exciting. She liked them to be the same. The end. Goodbye, Mila. Goodbye, Jack. I'll see you soon. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.